Welcome to ArtBase. In this video, I'm going to show you around the invoice settings or accounting settings in ArtBase. Okay, so here I'm looking at a sample invoice that I created. Now there's lots of different ways that you can change how your invoice looks when it prints, and most of those changes can be done in the settings file. So the first thing you can change, of course, is the font and font size, and that's your standard setting in the general settings. But you can also change the wording, you can change what your defaults are, you can change the whole look of your invoice, in fact. So if I come back here and I go to my ArtBase menu, I can choose Settings, and it'll open up my settings file. In the settings file, you can choose Accounting, and then you'll see this screen. In here, you can make a lot of choices in how this might print out. So let's have a look. There's print currency on all prices or totals only. So let's just say you don't want the dollar symbol to print on all of the prices, but just on the totals at the bottom. You can choose that. Do you want it to default to print the image? So when you're on your invoice, you can always choose to have it print the image on a case-by-case basis. But maybe you really like how it looks with an image on it, and you want to do that most of the time. Then your default in the settings file should be yes. The sales tax text. So this is going to default as sales tax, but you can also choose it as VAT, and that's what will appear automatically in this field here. Sales tax default. So I would only recommend that you use this if you are most of the time charging sales tax. If you're usually charging sales tax, then you can enter what the usual rate is, or you can just enter your sales tax county that you're usually doing business with. And then once you've chosen that, it automatically will pop it into your sales tax county and rate here. Discount percent text. So this is going to automatically, whenever you choose a percentage discount, it's going to pop in less 30% discount. If you don't like this wording, you can change it here. Production text. So again, if you don't like the wording on production, so when you enter production on an invoice, and remember you can do that over here by hitting the blue dot next to the item and going into advanced to enter your production. So once you've entered this information, when it prints on your invoice, how do you want it to be worded here? Include with address. So back on the invoice, it will automatically pop in the contact information. Do you want it to also include phone numbers and email addresses, fax, or all the phone numbers? Subtotal default. Do you like the word subtotal? Do you want to change it to something else? Same with total. Fact sheet information. So if you choose to print the fact sheet information, and remember that's provenance, exhibition history, literature, and any other fact sheet information, you can choose to have it print on your invoice automatically, but you can also decide maybe you don't always want literature and other to print on there. You can just choose provenance and exhibition, and that's how it will default. However, if you choose it this way, you can always come back to the invoice details for any given item and choose in this particular case whether it prints or not with this information, the literature and other. Okay, and you can also choose whether the invoice number prints and what the spacing between your artworks is going to be on your invoice. You can also choose when you're printing out your statement. So they've made some payments and you're printing out a statement to show them their balance due. Do you want the payment notes? And let's go back and see where that is. Under payments, you have the payment notes. So this could be maybe the credit card number, or it could be any notes about the payment. Do you want that to print on your statement? Yes. Okay. Invoice header. How do you like the header styling? So that is literally the word invoice at the top of your screen. Do you like it underlined, bold, italics, uppercase? It's your choice. Do you want it to pop in automatically with the word invoice or something else? When you're printing a statement, do you want it to say statement at the top or something else? When you're creating a credit memo, what do you want that to be called? And then a non-art invoice. So a non-art invoice is essentially an invoice for anything that isn't art. It could be for your time, it could be for shipping costs, anything like that. Do you want it to just be called invoice, or do you want it to be called something else? Okay, invoice templates. You have up to 6 different templates that you can choose from in how your invoice looks. So let's have a look at those. When you click on these, you can flip through them to see. Each one shows you what it looks like with an image or without, because you can do either one with each. And so you can flip through these. Some of them have a line, some of them don't. This one doesn't. Some of them have the invoice number next to it. Some of them move the artworks over to the right a little bit. And you can see that the image in this particular case is on the left-hand side. This is option number 6 is only to be used with the side letterhead if you do that. Okay, so you can come back. You could have selected it on that screen, but you can also choose it from here, which template you want to use. Invoice comments is basically the comments that appear automatically at the bottom of your invoice. So that's at the very bottom. And of course, once it pops in over here in comments, you can then edit it to say anything you want. The saved comments here are the ability to save certain texts that you want to pop in automatically onto the invoice when you choose them. And you can set up unlimited numbers of comments there. And to use it, you just choose Insert Saved Comment, and then you can choose from any of these, and then it will pop that information in right where your cursor was. Okay. Coming down the row, you have wire transfer instructions. So in here, you can set up all your different wire transfer instructions you may want to use. And then back on the invoice, you can choose which one you want to print on your invoice. And it will just print right at the bottom of the invoice. This is probably going to page 2. So on page 2, you see at the end, there's your wire transfer instructions. It prints right at the bottom of your text. You can also choose whether the wire transfer instructions prints in a smaller font, which a lot of people like because it's a lot of information. It just prints it in one size down from your normal. So sales tax, so here's where you can set up your sales tax counties. You can set up as many as you want with the rate that you want to enter. You'll see that when you type the information in, be sure to enter it like this. And in here, you can then choose the sales tax county, and it will automatically pop in the rate for you. Sales tax allows you, with this little feature here, to print the 0 if there is no sales tax entered. So let's delete this. So if I haven't entered a sales tax rate, and I come in, make it a little bit smaller so you can see. It's going to print the word sales tax with a 0 if I've chosen this selection, print 0. If I don't want it to print that out, you can say don't print 0. A lot of people like it to say sales tax 0 because maybe you want to actually come in and specify why you're not charging sales tax. These days, the tax man is kind of picky about showing why you aren't charging someone sales tax. If you actually mark it right on the invoice and it prints out, then they can't really question you. No sales tax shipped out of state, 0. But that's a preference and you can choose it here. Okay, and finally you have a payables tab here for entering payable defaults, whether your payables are based on the sold for, including the discounts you've given, or just on the retail price. And then you have some statement defaults. So these are your artist statements or consignor statements, and you have lots of defaults for those kinds of statements as well. Okay, that's invoice settings in ArtBase.